On this video, we're going to look at importing and exporting actuals using CSV files on the provider portal. We're on the portal landing page and you would need to go to Actuals. You can do that by using the functional button for Actuals here or the Actuals button on the toolbar. They will both take you to the same place. Once you've clicked that, you will see the name of the organisation and a list of the services provided. So you would select the applicable service. And you would then use the calendar to navigate to the week that the submission relates to. I'm on a test system, so I need to go back quite a while. But if you need to change the months, you can just use the single chevron buttons, and that will move forwards and backwards. And if you needed to change the year, use the double chevrons. So I'm going back to September 2022. And my submission is in relation to week commencing the 19th of September. So click on that week on the calendar, and then on the main body of the page you will see all of the people who were planned to receive the service that week. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will see a button for Generate Actuals. It's good practice to ensure that this is pressed so that you're capturing the most up-to-date information. If no changes were required to any of the planned services and all of the expected services were provided to all service users, you could just click on Confirm Actuals. But if you do need to make any changes, you can do this by going to the left-hand side, and you will see this section for bulk import/export. Select the Actuals bulk export, and you will then be asked to enter a start date and an end date. So this would be the Monday to the Sunday of the week of your submission. So I'm going back to the 19th of September 2022. And that's taking me to Sunday the 25th of September. Once you've done that, click on Export, and you can then open the CSV file. When you open the file, it will detail all of the services that the provider offers. So if you're working on a particular service, you can filter it accordingly. So if you highlight everything and go to the filter, click on that and sort it from A to Z. And the first column is the service. So it's put the services in alphabetical order. So I'm just wanting to work on this particular service, Florian Fortescue's. So I don't really need to be seeing all of the other information. So I'm just going to delete that. So highlight the ones that you don't need. Right click and delete. So I'm now just left with the services for Florian Fortescue. So on here, it will detail the service level, the SS reference, which is the unique identifier, the date that the submission relates to. You've then got these columns which relate to timetable services. You won't have any timetable services, so you may want to just hide these columns. So if you highlight them, right click and hide, and then that will just remove them from the view. You then have the weekly actual quantity, weekly frustrated quantity, weekly missed quantity, weekly extra quantity, weekly number of visits, and comments. You may note that it isn't showing the client's name, and that's because it is identifiable from the SS reference. Now, this is not our software, so unfortunately we can't get it to include the client's name on the CSV file. However, we have devised a workaround using VLOOKUP, and guidance is available showing you how to do this. But for this example, we'll just work with what the provider portal exports. If you need to make any amendments, you should only ever amend the figures in the actuals quantity, the frustrated quantity, and the missed quantity. You should never make any amendments to the extra quantity or the weekly number of visits. If any amendments are made, you must provide a comment to explain the reasons. If a person did not attend the planned services, it is important that this is recorded correctly so that you as a provider are paid, but the charge is not passed on to the person. If the service was due to be open but closes because of unexpected or exceptional circumstances, such as last-minute passenger transport cancellations or severe weather, the council will pay for that day. In these instances, you should record the people as frustrated using the following method. So, for the first example, we will use this individual, so we can see that the weekly actual quantity is showing as 5, which defaults to the planned service. So we can see on the number of visits it's showing as 5, and on the weekly actual quantity it's also showing as 5. So we'll say, for example, that this person was planned the 5 days, but they didn't attend for 2 days because they were poorly. What you would need to do is amend the figure in the actual quantity, so you would change it from the 5 that were planned to the 3 days that were actually attended, and in the frustrated you would put the 2 days where they didn't attend but you still require the payment. And because you're making a change, you need to give a reason. Quite poorly Monday and Tuesday. So by doing the amendment in this way, although you've amended the actual to show that only 3 sessions were provided, you will still be paid for a total of 5 sessions. It will pay you for the 3 actuals and the 2 frustrated. We'll do another example. So let's use this person who was planned to attend 2 sessions, 2 days, and let's imagine that they usually attended on a Monday and a Tuesday, but the Monday of this week was a bank holiday. The council will not pay for planned closures such as bank holidays, Christmas periods or staff training days, and in these instances it must be recorded as missed. So for this example, you would amend the actual to show the number of sessions actually attended. So they were planned 2, but they only attended 1 day because the other day was a bank holiday. So you'd change it from a 2 to a 1. And in the missed, you would put the day that they did not attend, which was a bank holiday. Again, you would need to put a comment. So bank holiday Monday. And by entering the amendments in this way, you will not be paid for that bank holiday closure. You might have instances where a person is no longer expected to attend, so it could be that they've cancelled permanently or because they might have died, but the service line might still be showing because it's not yet been ended. In these instances, you would need to record as missed. So we will use, let's have a look, we'll use this client. So they were planned for 3 sessions per week, but we'll say that they'd sadly passed away the week before. So you would need to amend the figure in the actual from the 3 that was planned to 0 because no services were attended, and in the missed you would need to put the 3 sessions that were planned but were not actually provided, and again you would need to put a reason. So once you've made all of the required amendments, you would save the file to a location of your choosing. And you would then go back into the provider portal. You'd go back to Actuals, and when you scroll down under the bulk import export, you would then select Actuals bulk import. When you click on that, you will see this section where you've got a button to choose file, so click on choose file, and then you would find the CSV file that you've just saved, and you would then click on import. Once you've done that, you'll be taken to this screen where it gives you some information about the data that has been imported. So it'll detail the number of records that are being pulled in. It would also tell you about any rejected records that there may be. And at the bottom, there is a section for errors and warnings. So if there was anything that wasn't compatible or corrupted data, such as you'd put a letter where a number should be, it would detail that at the bottom, and it would also identify the line or lines where the information needed to be amended, so you could go back and make the required amendments. Once you're happy with everything, you can click on the Update System, and you will then get a message to let you know that the import has been complete. So this information has now been imported into the portal, and the adjustments that you've just made are now available to see in the portal. So you could check this if you wanted, and we can do that as an example now. So we'll go back into the actuals, go to the service, navigate to the week. So it was 19th of September 2022. So when you click on that, so we can see here it's got the amendments that we've just made. So we've got the top one is the one where the individual had passed away. So there's been no claim for that planned service. We've got the one where the client was poorly on the Monday and the Tuesday, but where you're still going to be getting paid for the full planned 5 sessions. And we've also got the example where it was the bank holiday Monday, where the reduction is made, so you're only getting paid for the 1 day out of the normal 2 days attendance that would be expected. So all the amendments have been made, so you can then just proceed on to the final step of confirming in the scheduled payments.